Patrick Bet David just went on camera and absolutely destroyed Angel Reese. And honestly, it wasn't even close. He called her out by name, praised Caitlin Clark as the actual reason the WNBA has any leverage right now in their ongoing CBA negotiations, and said what a lot of fans have been thinking, but nobody in the media would say out loud. And the timing couldn't be more perfect, because while Reese was on live TV threatening to sit out 2026, Clark was making her NBA on NBC analyst debut, telling the world she's confident a deal gets done. Let's talk about exactly what Bet David said and why he's right. Do you think Reese is delusional? Let me know down in the comments below.
Angel Reese says WNBA players could go on strike over salary and benefits.
Career you choose, you should probably look at what the career earnings are of going into that field. What I'll also say is this: every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
Here's where it gets interesting. Bet David isn't a beat reporter. He's not a league insider who needs to protect his access or stay neutral to keep getting credentials. He's a businessman who calls things how he sees them, and that's exactly what he did. So when he went on camera and came after Angel Reese directly, it landed differently than your typical sports media take.
You know what I love watching? I love watching her highlights of missing shots. She's got to be the worst shooter you've met in your life. But go, Rob, just go, give this feedback. Give this feedback here. Go for it.
Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period.
Layups? Bang! What do you mean? She's our double-double queen! Bang! What they say, if it's broke, don't fix it. Bang! Teaching Angel Reese to make a layup is like teaching an old dog a new trick. It ain't gonna work. Bang! Hey, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get you? Have the Angel Reese McBang!
What did he actually say? He said that every single WNBA player should be praying that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's the one keeping the league afloat. Those were his words. Not paraphrased, not softened. He said it straight. He pointed at Reese going on live TV and floating the idea of sitting out 2026 like it was some kind of power move. And he basically said, "Who do you think gave you that power?"
If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sit out. That's a possibility, for real.
And that's the thing about Reese's live stream moment. She's on camera, totally relaxed, talking about sitting out like it's a chip she earned at the table. Like she put in the work that made the WNBA relevant enough for anyone to care whether players show up or not. But she didn't build that. The attendance records, the TV money, the sponsorship deals flowing in right now, that's Clark's fingerprints all over it.
Reese has been vocal about her low WNBA salary, revealing her $74,000 a year salary doesn't cover rent, stating on Instagram Live, "I just hope you know that the WNBA doesn't pay my bills at all. I don't even think they pay one of my bills." Reese's financial struggles stem from WNBA salary not matching her past earnings, as her NIL valuation at LSU was $1.8 million, bolstered by deals with Reebok, PlayStation, McDonald's, and Coach, while a 4-year rookie deal was $324,000 with $74,000 due next season.
I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Let me do the math real quick.
He might cover that. Yeah, it covers that. It definitely covers that.
What is I don't even know my salary.
Picture this. The WNBA is in the middle of the biggest labor negotiation it's ever had. Real money is finally on the table. Networks are paying attention. And where is Clark during all of this? She's sitting at an NBA analyst desk on NBC, calm as anything, telling the country she's confident a deal gets done. She said, "I feel very confident that we're going to get something done. We're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor." That's it. No threats, no drama, no live stream ultimatums, just confidence.
This is the greatest Angel Reese layup you'll ever see. Here we go with the dump off, ba-da-dum-bum-bum. I'm loving it. Burn! Oh, she getting jiggy with it. Look at that, crisscross, zigging-zagging through the lane. Giddy up, yeehaw! Burn! Now I heard she's ambidextrous. That makes sense, cause she's equally doggy doo-doo with the right and left-handed layup. Burn! Professional basketball player needing to work on her layups is like a fish needing to learn how to breathe underwater. It doesn't make sense. Reese's Puffs! Burn!
Meanwhile, Reese is on a live stream talking about sitting out. Let that sink in for a second. Bet David's core point was dead simple. You don't get to threaten to sit out a season you didn't build. And that framing hit because fans already felt exactly that. They just hadn't heard someone say it that cleanly and that publicly. The comments under his video, the reaction clips, the quote tweets, people weren't pushing back. They were agreeing, loudly.
WNBA and what's her name? Angel Reese. Do it. I fully support your right to strike. So other sports have done it. So other major sports have done it. Here's a quick list for you, PBD. I put this together. Biggest sports strikes in history. 1994, the MLB strike. It was the first time that the World Series was canceled.
I remember.
You remember that? In 1998, the NBA went on strike. They canceled the All-Star game for the first time.
No one
the
noticed.
NFL has gone on strike multiple times. 1982, 1987, 2011. Here's the catch when you're going to go on strike. In 1994, MLB, NBA, NFL, what's the number one revenue sport in America? What do you think it is? The NFL. How much do you think they make? $17 billion. The NBA, a little over $11 billion. The MLB, also $11 billion. The NHL, $7 billion.
And Clark's NBC debut wasn't just good TV. That appearance sent a signal to every sponsor and every network executive watching. This woman can walk into any room in sports and belong there. That's what marketability actually looks like. Reese's live stream sent the opposite signal. It told the business world that some players are more interested in the threat of a walkout than in showing up. Bet David also went after the jealousy angle, and it's worth sitting with. The veterans in this league spent 2 full seasons doing everything they could to push Clark out of the spotlight she was actively building. And now those same players are standing in that spotlight and using it to threaten a walkout. That's not lost on fans.
I mean, I'm not huge on comparing the WNBA to the NBA. I don't really think that's fair. Obviously, I think where the WNBA is right now is pretty incredible. I think a lot of people, or most people, would not believe it's in the place that it is right now. So I think when people always ask me this question, where I think it'll be in 5 years, is it's hard for me to answer because people didn't even think we'd be right here, right now. And I think really sky's the limit. I think when you see, our TV numbers when we're on, national television, we're averaging over 1 million viewers or whatever it is. The All-Star game, I think, was over 4 million viewers. It's just really great numbers. So the more opportunities we're given, I think the more it's going to shine and get better and better. I think also the talent level in college is continuing to get a lot better, and as those players come into the league, and it's going to continue to improve. We're adding 2 new teams next year, and then probably another team year after that.
Some more games.
Yeah, more games, which I think will be good. It will lengthen the season a little bit more.
The sentiment online was pretty much unanimous. People are tired. Tired of watching Clark grow the league, build the audience, bring in the money, and then watch other players treat that momentum like it belongs to them, like they built it, like they're owed it. Reese showing up to threaten a walkout doesn't make her a leader in this negotiation. It makes her someone who arrived after the heavy lifting was already done and decided the leverage was hers to burn. And the veterans doing damage behind closed doors? That's a whole other level.
Look, let's be honest. We can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero, zip, nothing.
Let's talk about the exact moment the WNBA lost the public argument. Because it wasn't a slow burn. It was one specific moment, and it was bad. After a key in-person bargaining session, the Players Association went public with a very specific message. Nika Ogwumike, the WNBA president, told Front Office Sports that the league came to that meeting without a proposal ready. Her exact words were, they volunteered that they did not have a proposal prepared at the top of the meeting. That kind of set the tone for the conversation because we were hoping to hear otherwise. So the story that went out to the public was simple. The owners showed up empty-handed. No numbers, no offer, nothing.
A slap in the face, you say. Our offers aren't good enough, you claim. We didn't come to the table with anything of substance, you said. The WNBA owners are playing chess while the players are playing checkers.
It turns out that Nneka Ogwumike is a liar. There was a WNBA proposal at that meeting, and this is what it is.
And that framing spread fast because it fit what some fans already believed. That ownership was dragging its feet, that the league didn't take its players seriously. It was a clean narrative and people bought it. Then the actual numbers came out. The league had proposed a salary cap of around $5 million in year one, with individual max salaries climbing toward $1.3 million, and potentially higher over the life of the deal. On top of that, expanded benefits and new player protections were part of the package. So there was an offer, a real one, with real numbers attached to it. The union told the public there was nothing on the table when there was very clearly something on the table. That's not spin. That's not a negotiating tactic. That's just lying to the fans who were ready to go to bat for you.
So in 2031, the max salary could be up to $2.4 million. If that's not growth of the league, then I must be a ding-dong. No, that is great. Going from little bitty $250,000 max to $2.4 million within 5 years is great. Okay, then the average salary will be $1 million. That's pretty damn good. That's just the base salary. Okay, that's not the incentives, whatever.
Here's where it gets interesting. The union's own counter position was sitting at roughly 30% of gross revenue, a starting cap closer to $10.5 million, and a $2.5 million individual max. So yes, there's a massive gap between the two sides. But instead of telling the public that gap exists and making the case for their position, the union pretended the gap hadn't even started yet. They skipped straight to "there's no offer" when the offer was already sitting in the room. And about that room, picture this. The owners flew in, they sat down at the table, they came with a written proposal ready to go, and two of the Players Association's own executive committee members, Kelsey Plum and Nafisa Collier, didn't even show up in person. They dialed in on Zoom. For the single most important labor meeting in this league's history, two of the people who are supposed to be leading the fight for players couldn't be bothered to get on a plane. Travel issues, apparently.
Almost there. 2 gates to go. This is what digging deep looks like. Gang, gang. On the CBA. We're going to the meeting. You don't understand.
So you've got owners physically present, proposal in hand, and the union's leadership calling in from a laptop screen. The owners didn't issue a written counterproposal after that meeting. And honestly, why would they? You don't hand a formal response to a Zoom call when the other side was supposed to be sitting across from you. And then the union went public and said there was no offer. It's completely backwards. The side that didn't show up in person is the one telling the world that the other side wasn't serious. The WNBPA chose to do this at the exact moment when public trust was the most important thing they had going for them. Fans who were fully ready to support the players started doing the math when the real numbers leaked. You can't build a sympathy campaign on a story that falls apart the second anyone checks the receipts. The lying was bad enough. But some of the veterans leading this union had a reason to want these talks to fail that had absolutely nothing to do with WNBA salaries.
But you know, honestly, it's the old guard that's holding the league back. They want to get their big paycheck one more time before they get out. That's all it is, because within 5 years, half them players will be gone. Aguma K is old. She's 35. 5 years later, she'll be 40. She probably won't be in the league by that time. That's why she's probably pushing to get the biggest bag she can get, because she knows deep in her heart she ain't gonna get it. I'm telling you, it's all self-serving. Why?
Are you ready for the part that actually makes your blood boil? Because this goes way beyond bad negotiating. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart aren't just WNBA players. They co-founded Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league that runs during the WNBA offseason. And here's where it gets interesting. Unrivaled's entire business model depends on WNBA players needing extra income. If WNBA salaries jump high enough that players are financially set, why would they spend their offseason playing in a competing league? A richer WNBA is genuinely bad for Unrivaled's bottom line. So Collier and Stewart have a direct financial reason to want WNBA salaries to stay manageable.
So Nafisa Collier, during the Owls game, I believe she's still on the Lunar Owls, she talked to the broadcast about Unrivaled and gloated about what we're doing over here at Unrivaled. Oh yeah, sustainability. Oh really now? Okay. We have a a roasting session on our hands, folks. And I didn't do the roasting, but Napheesa Collier, she's getting dragged through the mud with what she said yesterday. She's getting crushed online.
And these are the same people in leadership positions on the executive committee that's supposed to be fighting for WNBA players. So when the negotiations stall, when the union pushes a position that owners flatly can't accept, when Collier doesn't even show up in person to the most important meeting of these talks, you have to ask who that actually benefits. Because it's not the average WNBA player trying to make a career.
And what they need, and by the way, maybe they should play hard, but not flagrant foul, Caitlin Clark, who's can be, the face of the league. They may not like it's the face of the league. There may be professional jealousies among players, but maybe a face of the league can help things go and get merch, people in seats, and a better TV contract. They're getting a TV contract improvement for the 26th season next year.
Let's talk about the 2 seasons of Clark erasure, because it connects directly to all of this. From the moment Clark stepped into the league, the veteran culture treated her like an inconvenience. There was physical play that crossed obvious lines. There were constant comments about earning respect, as if setting scoring records in college and selling out arenas on her first road trip wasn't enough. And then veterans started criticizing Clark's new fans, actual paying customers, for not knowing enough about WNBA history.
Number that came up, which is their argument, which you have to kind of defend the argument that they're making. WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. The viewership is higher and they're asking for the money. And if the contract on the back end, the revenue, NBA gets 50+% to players, they do 9.3. There's an argument for it to be played, but you're right. If Caitlin Clark gets injured, it's over.
That one is worth stopping on. Before Clark showed up, the WNBA was averaging somewhere around 6,000 fans per game. 6,000. New fans poured in because of Clark, bought tickets, tuned in, started following the league. And some veterans responded by telling those fans they didn't belong, that they hadn't paid their dues. You don't get to turn away a brand new audience and then stand up 2 years later claiming you built this league.
The increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance in a year, 48%. That's massive for them. So that's the argument they're making. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
Then, and when it comes down to merch from 23 to 24, they're up 601%. Then when it comes down to being broadcasted on ESPN, they average 1.2 million viewers per game, 170% increase.
The numbers are not subtle. Attendance went up across the entire league, not just in Indiana. TV ratings for Fever games turned into genuine appointment television. ESPN was publicly flagging Clark as the reason the league was finally having a mainstream moment. Sponsors followed. Networks paid attention and started writing bigger checks. None of that happened because of the old guard. That was Clark's work, full stop. And now those same veterans are standing on the leverage she created and using it to threaten a walkout. It would almost be funny if real careers weren't on the line, but that's not all. The union just went even further. They've now banned any direct contact between players and team owners or front office staff. Think about that. You don't cut off communication when you're trying to close a deal. You cut off communication when you're trying to blow one up. That's not a negotiating position. That's a siege, and the players absorbing the most damage from that decision aren't Collier or Stewart. They're players like Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. Players who want to play basketball in 2026. Players whose careers and paychecks are being held hostage by a leadership group that may have reasons of its own to let these talks fall apart.
Sophie Cunningham said it in a podcast previously. She sees the conflict of interest between Napheesa Collier, Breanna Stewart, and the WNBA. She sees the conflict of interest. So what are you doing to circumvent that conflict and actually get some of the real facts, some of the real truths that could be taking place?
Those players didn't spend 2 seasons trying to push Clark out. They didn't dial into the biggest meeting of the year from a laptop. They just want to compete. And right now, the union's leadership is making decisions that affect every single one of them without asking whose interests those decisions actually serve. Here's the thing about Clark sitting down at that NBA on NBC desk. She walked in like she belonged there, because she does. No nerves showing, no political statements, no veiled threats about work stoppages. She broke down basketball, she was sharp, and when someone brought up the CBA, she just said she's confident a deal gets done. That was it. Clean and simple.
The growth of the league has been so much. I mean, can you just, Couch, help us to understand the transition this league is going on right now?
I mean, it's incredible. And I remember my first WNBA game when I was a young girl. I went to the Minnesota Lynx when they had their dynasty with Maya Moore, and they were playing the Seattle Storm. And now basically any arena you go to, it's sold out. We're adding 2 teams. We're up to 14 now, and then hopefully getting to 18 in the next couple years. So, business is booming, and that's a really good thing. And we kind of just got to keep meeting the moment. The talent's getting better and better. You see it at the college level coming into the professional game too. So I feel very fortunate, and hopefully I have a long career ahead of me as well.
Picture this from the outside. The union is banning contact between players and owners. The WNBA is putting out public statements that don't match the actual numbers. The whole negotiation is a mess. And right in the middle of all that noise, Clark is on one of the biggest sports platforms in the country telling everyone to relax. She wants to play. She expects to play, and she said so on NBC without making it about her or turning it into a moment. That one segment did more for the league's image than months of union press releases. Because Clark wasn't just being optimistic, she was sending a direct signal to every sponsor and network executive watching that the product they paid for is still here and still worth investing in. That's not something you can fake, and it's not something a live stream rant can replicate.
It's a different type of buzz, and obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different, but Knicks fans are crazy, and I love it. I love people that are passionate about basketball, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, you kind of know them inside and out a little bit, Reggie. You've stolen their souls and their hearts with the Knicks fans. You see it? You see how he's kind of like smug.
But listen, there's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. Okay. It goes Caitlin, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not sure.
Let's talk about the fan backlash, because it's gotten very specific and very personal. People aren't just frustrated with the union as an organization anymore. They're going after individual players. Angel Reese's comment sections look nothing like they did a year ago. Fans who used to be neutral are now actively picking sides, and they're not landing on the side that went on a live stream to float sitting out 2026. Here's where it gets interesting. The veterans who told Clark's new fans they didn't know enough about WNBA history, those fans are still here, and they remembered. Every player who took a shot at Clark during her first 2 seasons, on the court or off it, is now posting about the CBA and getting ratioed in the replies. The internet kept the receipts, and it is not being quiet about them right now.
Appreciate you just joining us on Basketball Night in America.
It was fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you
now
gonna
I
come
get
back?
to enjoy this. I mean, what's better, MSG Sunday night?
You can put your slippers
LeBron
back on
James,
if you
let's
want.
go.
Let's go.
Play too.
Hey, guess what? Hey,
I
Caitlin's
get
gonna come
destroyed,
back.
Mello.
She's not gonna put the mic down forever. March 29th, she's back with us in OKC, but now she gets to go and enjoy the Knicks games, and we're happy for her.
Bet David tapped into something that was already boiling. He didn't create the frustration, he just gave it a clear shape. Because the frustration fans feel isn't really about the salary numbers or the revenue split. It's simpler than that. It's about watching someone threaten to burn down something they had no part in building. Reese didn't fill those arenas. She didn't move those TV ratings. She didn't bring in those sponsors. And fans know that, so when she talks about sitting out, it reads as someone cashing a check she didn't write. And then you look at the Fever and what that roster actually represents. Clark running the offense, Boston in the post, Hull defending and competing every night, Mitchell attacking off the dribble. That's a team people genuinely want to watch. That's a product that sells tickets and drives subscriptions and gets casual fans to set a reminder on their phone. The contrast between what that team is building and what the union's leadership is currently doing is just impossible to miss. Clark isn't the face of the WNBA's future because she's flawless or because she never has a bad game. She's the face of it because she's the only prominent player right now who is actually behaving like the 2026 season matters. Like there are real people, teammates, fans, younger players watching, who need this thing to work out. The union's leadership is fighting like they want a crisis. Clark is working like she wants a season. Here's the reality. The WNBA is losing around $40 million a year and has been bleeding money since 1997. So when the old guard talks about blowing up these negotiations, they're threatening a league that's already on thin ice financially. Clark didn't threaten anyone. She showed up, did the work, and told NBC the 2026 season is happening. Do you think Reese is delusional? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.